Every week, it seems like there's a new villain of the week trending online. Yet another famous person, politician, or organization everyone loves to hate, either for something silly or because they said something hurtful or offensive. Whether it's online, in our families, or in our circle of friends, there's never a shortage of people we love to hate, especially when we feel there's good reason for that hatred. When someone hurts us, it's tempting to cancel them by loving to hate them, talking poorly about them, dehumanizing them, taking revenge on them. In the Bible, a guy named David had this exact opportunity. Because David had been chosen by God to be the next king of Israel, he was being hunted by the current and very jealous King Saul. David had every reason to hate Saul. I mean, the guy was trying to kill him. But because David knew God, David knew there was a better way. Instead of returning Saul's hatred with more hatred, David chose to show Saul mercy and patience instead. Although David wasn't perfect, his choices here remind us of what God invites us all to do: love the people we want to hate. Matthew 5 verses 43 to 45 tells us, "You have heard the law that says love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. In that way, you will be acting as true children of your Father in heaven. For he gives us his sunlight to both the evil and the good, and he sends rain on the just and unjust alike." As he often did, Jesus flipped the script on the world's wisdom about love and hate. Instead of telling his audience to love those who love them and hate those who hate them, Jesus challenged them and us to try something new, to love our enemies. Although David lived many years before Jesus spoke these words, David understood God wouldn't want him to return Saul's hatred with more hatred. His decision to show Saul love instead of vengeance points to Jesus' challenge to us, to love people we hate. So who are your enemies? Who are you tempted to hate because of the way they've hurt or treated you? Who have you hurt out of a desire for revenge, and how can you make it right? How can you stop the back and forth exchange of hatred and retaliation? How can you strategically choose to love someone you want to hate? When someone hurts us, it's natural to want to cancel them and make them pay, but it's possible to hold someone accountable for their actions without adding to the hatred in the world. The world needs us to model a new way forward, the way of love, not hate. It will be challenging, but most important things are. This change can start with us when we decide to forgive. And forgiveness isn't something we do for the person who hurt us, it's something we do for ourselves and God. Whether they've asked for our forgiveness or not, we can choose to let go of bitterness towards the people who have hurt us. You may not be ready to fully forgive that person today, and that's okay. Forgiveness is often a journey. Notice, we all need people to model for us what compassion and love looks like. But the good news is that these examples are everywhere. We just have to pay attention. And defend. We've talked a lot about what to do when we've been hurt, but don't forget that other people are being hurt all the time. You might notice someone being bullied at school, or you might begin to explore deep and systemic problems like injustice, racism, and inequality. If you were David being hunted by the king, you would have wanted someone to defend you, right? We can do that for others. And lastly, pray. The things we've talked about today are difficult. If we want to choose love instead of hate, we're going to need a lot of help. But we have to learn to pray for those who've hurt us or who are hurting others, just like Jesus said. It's hard to hate someone when you're consistently praying for them. As we close, I want to challenge you to pray for the person you're most tempted to hate. Ask God to help you choose love instead of revenge. If we choose to hate our enemies, hate will only grow. But if we choose to love our enemies with God's help, that love will grow, spread, and change our culture. It's not going to be easy, but it's worth it. Like Jesus said, and like David did, God's challenging you to love the people you want to hate and see how it changes you, changes them, and changes the world.